let me start it again. I've just told it to start again. That might have been me messing around, Max. I've just restarted it, so it might take a minute before it appears. Takes a minute before it works. Let me see if it's come back yet. I have to drop it because I keep hearing. Yeah, it's working now. Did you have you got the URL, Max? Yeah, I'll just stick it in again. Cool. Yeah, so as I was saying, on the top right hand side of the 3D window there's a little, it's like small icon, two little vertices with, it looks like a pair of lips between them, but it's not. I guess it's meant to be showing that they're going to join, so it's an auto join. And I've just duplicated this cube, and in fact if I turn my snap on and tell it to snap to vertices, or vertexes, so I should be able to move that vertex close to the other one. Can you see how it's auto snapping? As soon as I get it close, it sticks to that other vertex. And in fact, because I've got auto merge turned on at the top right hand side, it should now just be one. If I select all, go to B, so if I select that, it should only be, oh, it says, in fact it says it's got, yeah, vertices 1 of 22, so that's only a single vertices now, so that's auto joined. So if I did the same for the bottom one, for example, so I could select that one, and because I've got the snap on, I can move it close to the other one, and you can see that it snaps onto it. And as soon as that snap function happens, as soon as I select it again, it should.
I simply don't see it. I'm not sure what we have to see at the moment, but the link you posted is stopping after 1 minute something. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, it's probably auto recording. Let me just double check. This is a pain, isn't it? Let me copy it and paste it back in again. It might be. I think that's the old link. It tends to stream and record. So let me see if I can. Let me see if I can delete that stream. Bear with me a second. Let me just delete that stream and I'll start it again. Let me delete that one. Videos live. I'm guessing it's that one. Will it let me delete it? Boo. Come on, let me delete you. It hates me. I hate YouTube. I hate the YouTube interface. It's horrible. It's just not at all intuitive. delete forever. Um,
Click a button and it starts screening. Right.
yeah,
Also, when you try to manage your videos, it's a pain to get your stuff you uploaded 4 months ago.
let's see if, let me see if that one's, well, the link it gave me for it is that. So let's see if that looks like it's going to behave itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That seems to work.
yeah, okay, so let me just get rid of that. So hopefully you should be able to see it back on screen. Can you see that?
Yep.
Good, 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 good. Let me just turn down the volume because otherwise I can't hear myself think. Let me just delete that and I'll show you what I was doing again. So let me just undo what I've done. So I'm just going to, oops, I'm just going to delete all of that rubbish. So let's go back. So I'm going to go into object mode. I'll add in a new cube. So there's our cube. Let's go into edit mode. So let me just move that cube and I'm going to duplicate it. So now we've got two cubes. So if you look at the top right hand side of the 3D window here, next to the word options, there's a little button with two little vertices
No.
and a line between them.
No, there is no button.
You need to be in edit mode,
Ah.
not object mode. So just make
Yeah, there is.
yeah. So if you're in edit mode, you can click on that little button which is auto merge vertices. So when they get super close together, it will make two vertices into one. And if I go on the top of the panel here, if I click on the little magnet symbol and select from the drop down the chooser vertex, so that will snap to the nearest vertex. So if I grab this vertex here and press G, I can move it close to this other one. Can you see how it snaps onto it?
It's cool.
And
This one saved a lot of time for me.
and as soon as it does that, if I select that, so I've selected that vertex. If you look down at the very bottom right, it will tell you what the name of the mesh is and how many verts you've got selected, or edges or whatever. And you can see that I've only got one vertices selected, 1 of 15. So that's actually auto merged those vertices together. And of course you can do that with all the vertices. It's just a nice, easy, kind of accurate way of making sure that you're getting rid of duplicate vertices. But similarly, it works with faces and edges and stuff as well. So let's see if we can put in another object. Let me just add in another cube and move it out of the way. So for example, if I wanted to, if I put the snap tool onto, for example, face mode, let's join those meshes together. So just join them. So I can go back into edit mode. I can select, whoops, if I go to face mode, So I can select this face here, and because I've got my snap tool on and it's set to faces, as soon as I move it close to this other face, you can see it snaps to it. So that's a super easy way of lining up, you know, if you want things to kind of butt up together, to line up together.
Yeah, that's cool. This I missed today.
But don't forget to turn off the auto merge vertices once you're done with it, and don't forget to turn off your magnet tool once you've done with it. I'll stop the stream now in case unless anybody else has got any other kind of. Oh, let me show you something else. Hold on. Max was asking about the 2D cursor, wasn't he? Let me show you that. Let me get rid of this junk. So, you'll notice if you move objects around, you get a little dot left. That was like the center point of whatever you were working with. You can go to the outline and just select it and delete it. By default, the 2D cursor goes to the cross point of the X and Y grid axis. You can always reset that if you go to View. So if you find that if you find that you've clicked somewhere and it's moved, and you don't want it moved, like I've just moved it up in the air, if you just go to View and then go down to this is in object mode, go down to Align View. If you select Center Cursor from View All, which is the shortcut key is Shift C, you can click on that and it will realign the 2D cursor to the 0 point and then zoom out so that you can see everything in the scene. But anyway, so Shift C is the shortcut key for that. But let me show you with the cube. So the important thing to remember is whenever you res some mesh, whenever you create some mesh, it'll always appear at the 2D cursor point wherever that is set to. So if I add in, let's say I add in a mesh cube, you can see that the center of the mesh cube is exactly aligned on the 2D cursor. So I'm just going to move that cube up into the air now. So I'm pressing G and then I'm going to press Z. So I'm just going to shift it up, and you can see that that's where the point is set. That's where it considers that the center geometry of the cube is set into the middle there. But let's say I wanted to do something clever. Let's say I wanted to stack another cube exactly on top of this one. Then the way to do it would be go into edit mode, select the top face, and you can see the widget tool is perfectly aligned to the center of the top face. You can then go to in edit mode, go to the mesh option and say snap, and we want to snap the cursor to the selected face. And as soon as we do that, you can see the 2D cursor has jumped up into the air and is exactly in the middle of the top face. Which means anything I add, the center point will then be at that point. So if I added in another cube, so let's go add cube. So you can see the center of that cube is now snapped onto that point. That's not much cop actually, and let's move it up into the air. But so I've now selected the bottom face of that cube. So if I turn my snap tool on, which is set to faces, if I pull it down, it should give me the option to, yeah, can you see how that snaps? As soon as I get my mouse cursor close to that edge, can you see how that snaps together? So, and if we, I think they're all, yes, they're all one object. Now you can see from that double cube stack that the geometry is offset now. It's in the kind of wrong place because the geometry is, you know, the medium point and the geometry, the middle point, the geometry thinks it's still set to that bottom cube. Well, the way to fix that is in edit mode. I don't know if it has to be all selected, but we'll select it all anyway. If you go to mesh, or actually no, I think it's in object mode, sorry. If you go to object mode, go to object and then say set origin to geometry, then that will look at the geometry and then snap the origin to the medium, the middle point of that geometry. You can set it to anywhere. So, and the way you'd do that, let's say I wanted this, the origin point for this piece of mesh to be set to the bottom. Actually, let's select it all. I'll move it away from the centre of the grid as well, just to prove the point. So I've moved that mesh object away from the centre. So what we would do is let's say we wanted to make the origin point where the gizmo kind of cursor is. So we would go to mesh, snap. I've got the bottom face selected, so we want to snap the cursor to that selected face. So it's now snapped to the bottom face. And if we go back into object mode, of course the 2D cursor hasn't moved, it's still exactly where it was. We can go object, set origin, and we want to set the origin to the 3D cursor. And then you can see the little origin point. Let me, if I go Shift C, so you can see now the origin point is now right at the bottom of that cube stack. So that's how you can manipulate the 2D cursor and the origin of your mesh. But yeah, you can set the origin of the mesh to anywhere you like, even outside of the mesh. So in fact, if we wanted to set it back to where our 2D cursor is now, you could do snap. Well, set origin actually. Set origin to the 3D cursor, and now if I go back to, yeah, and now if I move it, you can see the origin for that piece of mesh is now set outside the mesh. Is that kind of helpful, Max? So that was just, yeah, it's just manipulating where the origin of the mesh is. And OpenSim uses the mesh, the origin of the mesh, as a guide as to where to place it on the floor. So when you res something, it will try and keep the origin on the floor of the bit of mesh.